G'day there guys, it's Connie here again from Marquee Industries and we are back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe and also the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Okay folks, we're on Am I Wrong? This one was written by a throwaway account and it's titled, Am I wrong for not telling my ex about my miscarriage? Sorry if this is all over the place, I'm bad at expressing myself, clearly, and I don't really post to Reddit. So my ex-boyfriend, 26, and I, 22, were dating for about 3 years until I found out I was pregnant. That's when he decided, things are moving too fast and I don't want this anymore. To make a long story short, he wound up kicking me out of our apartment. I moved in with my mum and blocked him on everything, and I started contemplating abortion. I was just thinking to myself, why bring a child into a broken home, you know? Why would I want my firstborn to have a father that never wanted them? But when it came down to going through with it, I just couldn't. I don't know why, I can't explain the feeling I had, but I decided I'd keep it. This all happened in May. However, on June 11th, I miscarried. I don't want to get into the details of the miscarriage, but I had an ectopic pregnancy. When this happened, I did consider calling my ex to let him know, but I was afraid of the response, because I knew it would be along the lines of bullet well dodged, so I just didn't. My thought process was he didn't want it anyway, and why would he care? I stayed with my goddess of a mum, and she helped me through everything because she's had miscarriages as well, and knew everything I was feeling. I love her. Fast forward to 2 days ago, I got a call from an unknown number. I didn't pick it up, but it called 2 more times and then stopped. I didn't think it was him, but I never pick up unknown calls. Last night, the number texted me, "Hey, it's the ex, can we talk?" I didn't text back, and this morning he showed up at my mum's house when I wasn't there. I texted him back and said, "Yeah, we can talk, but just don't show up to my mum's house. Call or text before you do." We set up a meeting, and when I came, he had a gift bag. This is the conversation summed up. He says, "Wow, you look great. You don't even look pregnant." Me, "I'm not anymore." He says, "The F do you mean? Did you get an abortion without telling?" I say, "Nope, I miscarried." He says, "And you didn't think to tell me?" I say, "No, why would you care?" "Because that's my effing kid too." "Well, you didn't want it." "I do, that's why I came to see you, but whatever, F you." He left me with the gift bag and it was baby stuff. I felt really bad. I'm assuming he told his mother because she called me going off about how bad of a person I have to be from hiding this. And she also insinuated that I'm lying about aborting it. Rub salt in the wound. I'm hesitant to tell my mum because Lord knows she'll fight that old lady for talking to me crazy, and I don't want any extra drama. But I do feel bad because having a baby is a big deal, and not everybody is ready for it at first, so my thoughts were everywhere all at once. So does anyone here have any opinions? Am I wrong, or was I valid in how I felt? An edit. Thank you to everyone giving me their condolences. It means a lot to know that I'm valid in how I feel. I will be telling my mum, as many of you said, and I'll donate the baby items. I appreciate everyone trying to help, but please stop commenting by saying, "Be glad the baby is in heaven and you're not tied to them," or anything else. It's really insensitive, especially since my fertility as a whole is at risk with what happened. I don't know if I'll update, but I might if anything else happens. Yeah, I mean, Opie already alluded to it in that edit, but she's completely valid in how she feels. Let's look at those comments. Tell your mum since she's the one who cares about you. Block the others. Yes, Opie, please tell your mum before the ex's hag of a mum starts spreading lies and spewing hate, because it's gonna happen. Who cares? Let your mum go ham on her. And F your ex. I'd bet he's only back because he got pressured from his family. He was trying to get in front of the narrative before he was possibly sued for child support, or his family found out through the channels about the baby. He kicked his pregnant girlfriend out and ended the relationship. You later had a miscarriage. I suppose he would have found out regardless when the 9 months were up, and he expected to see a child, and there wasn't one. I don't think you're wrong for not telling him, based on your story alone. A lot more obviously happened behind the scenes. I can't blame you for wanting him out of your life. I think you should tell your mum. Better you than second hand or another surprise visit to the door. Sorry you went through this. Block him, his mum, and anyone else that is causing you issues, and try to move on with the support of your mum. Tell your mum, you deserve to be supported. He didn't want the kid, his mum did. He let it slip, and she probably went gaga over the whole thing. He's mad because he thinks you took control of the situation and liberated yourself. I know that's not the case, but he's obviously upset at the idea of your autonomy. You do not have to justify or prove anything to this stupid woman. You went through something that is really complicated for a bunch of reasons. It takes time to get around it, even if a kid wasn't desired or ideal exactly. I've been there. I never told the person I was pregnant because I found out when I was already miscarrying. I dealt with it my way. If anyone had said something like this crap to me, I would have absolutely put them in their place. Strongly consider going no contact with this man and his whole gaggle of stupid. I hope you have a fantastic life. Yeah, spot on. It also makes you wonder what her chances of not having a miscarriage would have been if, she didn't get kicked out of her apartment and broken up with her boyfriend and all of that stuff. Let's go to an update. Thank you so much to everyone who gave advice. Good or bad, it helped me balance how I was feeling. It meant a lot. I also took almost all of the advice I received. Starting with my mum, I told her about the phone call I received from my ex's mum, who for the sake of confusion I'll just call Sarah, and I showed her the post. I did ask my mum to not say anything back, but in her words, it's best to not bow down to people like Sarah. When you let them get away with talking crazy once, they're going to do it again. I really did not want to talk to Sarah or my ex, so I just let my mum do it. I know it's childish to have my mum fight my battles, but I can't take any more stress right now. My mum understood and texted Sarah. This is the message. Sorry if it's hard to read. I had to try and take out or change the names. Quote, Hi Sarah, this is Opie's mum. I was just made aware that you made a call to my daughter, called her a liar, and accused her of secretly getting an abortion. First, I want to say that this situation is none of your business, and as a mother, you should know better than to slander a woman who has just lost her child. You of all people should be the last person calling others evil, considering the son you have raised. Were you aware that when Opie found out she was pregnant, your son decided 3 years was too soon for commitment and told her to leave the apartment? Or do you just not care? We don't owe you an explanation about Opie's pregnancy, but I will give you that courtesy and send those hospital reports. But once I do, if you continue to disrespect us, my son and I will be seeing you and yours. I can promise you that. End quote. I thought this message would be the end of it because hours went by without any word. They can't reach me because I blocked them, but my mum was waiting for a reply back. Until again, my ex showed up unannounced with his mum this time, which really ticked my mum off, rightfully so. Sarah said they just wanted to have an adult conversation, but my mum told them to leave and come later because we were busy. This was a lie. She wanted to wait until my brother got home just in case. When they came back, Sarah surprisingly made my ex apologize. She was apparently told a way different story. She was told that when we found out I was pregnant, that my ex was really excited, and I was the one who didn't want a child. When he told me that abortion was out of the question, I flipped out, left the apartment, and blocked him on everything. Then I contacted him months afterwards asking to meet. He thought I had a change of heart, which was why he bought the baby clothes in order to celebrate. The emphasis on abortion in his story is why Sarah believed I lied about the miscarriage. I couldn't help but chuckle at this because what a liar that man is. This must have triggered something in Sarah because she started backing up again, saying like, but I still feel you owe my son an apology because he still pretended like you were pregnant knowing it died. You could have at least told him, but you led him on. I had to put the caps on died because she did have a condescending tone in her voice, and she put so much emphasis on that word. It ticked me off, but I didn't say anything. I just went to my room. I don't know what happened afterwards. I heard everyone yelling at each other, but I just tried to drown it out. And I can't lie, I just cried until I slept, lol. Sorry to the people who wanted to read about a big rumble, but this is where we are right now. I wish the rumble happened too. She really needs the dentures knocked out of her mouth, but I just want to move on now. There's no reasoning with those people. Ending on a good note, I found a women's shelter to donate those baby items to, and I'm probably going to look for a therapist. Again, thank you to everyone who gave me tips on coping or advice on what to do. I didn't expect any more than 10 people to see this, lol. So thanks to everyone who validated how I felt. It's great to know you're not the insane one. And some more comments. How the hell did she come to the conclusion that you still pretended you were pregnant? You agreed to meet him and only told him you weren't after him commenting that you didn't look pregnant. You're better off just leaving this behind you. You've got a great support system in your mum and brother. Focus on healing so this can become a distant memory. Thanks for the update. Well, that escalated quickly. I'm glad you just walked away from Sarah the craphead and little rat boy when she said you needed to apologise for leading him on. It sucks that your mum and brother kept trying to argue with Sarah the craphead. The correct response from your mum would have been, quote, "Ma'am, I don't appreciate you showing up uninvited, but I'm glad we had this conversation. Now, frankly, you're wearing out my patience. You need to leave. You're starting to bother me. Please get off my front walk and go stand in the street. That's public property. You can stay there all night if you want, but I wouldn't. Never know who might show up at this time of night. Goodbye. Don't make me ask again." Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry you've been going through all of this, but I'm glad you told your mum and she made Sarah aware of what a scumbag lying son she has. Your mum is awesome. Take the time grieving the loss of your baby. Therapy is a good idea. Try to find a therapist who specialises in helping parents who have lost their baby or child. I wish you the very best and wish for you down the road to find a man who deserves you and treats you amazingly as you should be. Here, and that's the end of that story. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Yeah, stating the obvious, but what a piece of work that mum and son is. It's always the ones that want a adult conversation that act like complete children when the pressure's on. Like, what an absolutely disrespectful and backhanded way to apologise about something so serious. God. Anyway, I'm glad that OP didn't give them the time of day for that one. Alrighty, let's leave that one there and move on to another story. Okay, this one was posted on Am I the A-Hole? It was written by user Strange Gene, and it's titled, "Am I the A-Hole for hiding my family wealth from my boyfriend?" So I, 17 female, have been dating my boyfriend Mike, 16, for about 3 months now. We're both juniors in high school, and everything has been going really well between us. We met through mutual friends about 8 months ago, and hit it off quickly. He's funny, kind, and down to earth. We have an amazing relationship, but our financial situations are different. My family is pretty well off. Not rich, no mansions or yachts, etc., but we live in a nice house, take 1 to 2 vacations per year, and I don't really have to stress about money. I only work just so I'm not sitting at home doing nothing. That being said, I've always been taught not to flaunt it, nor bring it up. We drive normal cars and live a fairly average lifestyle, even if we have more savings than others. I never talk about money with people. Mike's family doesn't have as much. He's mentioned how they struggle sometimes to pay bills, and how they have to budget for everything. Because of this, he's made a few comments about rich kids being spoiled or out of touch, which is why I didn't bring up my family situation. I didn't want him to see me differently, or feel awkward about the differences between us. I don't care what his financial situation is, I love him anyway. He's seen my house and knows my parents run a business, but he doesn't know about all my parents' assets, which makes a lot more money and is what keeps us comfortable, so he doesn't know how much we really have. Well, recently, Mike and I had dinner with my family along with cousins. We all sat down and talked about travelling in general, and one of my cousins mentioned a vacation home my parents had. She was talking about the cabin we had in the mountains. Our family loves camping and hiking, so we vacation there sometimes. Mike went quiet, but I could tell something was up. Later, when we were alone, he asked why I never told him that my family had so much money. I tried to explain that it wasn't something I thought was important, and I didn't want him to feel weird about it. Besides, he knew I was more well off than him, he just didn't know the full extent. That's when he got a bit upset and said something that caught me off guard. He mentioned how I could have helped him out with some of the things he's been struggling with financially, like gas money or when his car needed repairs a few months ago. He said that he was not asking for handouts, but he said it feels like I was hiding something from him when I could have made things easier. I told him I didn't want to make things awkward between us by offering money, and I didn't think it was my place to get involved with his finances, but now he says it feels like I wasn't being honest, and that maybe I don't trust him enough to share that part of my life. Over the next few weeks, Mike started getting a little invasive. He looked up my house on Zillow and was shocked at the value. Mike showed me his screen and was upset that he didn't know how rich we were. He also started looking up my family members on social media sites to see what they do and how rich they are. Cousins, uncles, aunts. I got really mad and told him I didn't appreciate him digging through my family life and my finances are not his business. I asked him to stop being weird. Mike then responded he was just trying to fully understand what my lifestyle is like, but I think he's going completely off the rails. I didn't mean for it to turn into such a big deal. I was just trying to avoid making him feel uncomfortable or like he was less than me. I also believed my family finances are irrelevant, but now I'm wondering if I should have been more open from the start. Am I the a-hole? Nah, not the a-hole for me. Like, come on, dude. Like, they're both 16, 17, they haven't been dating that long. I don't think it's time to start talking about sharing finances and giving handouts. It's hard to not look at it like he's got dollar signs in his eyeballs. Let's go to some comments. Not the a-hole. He's not asking for handouts while, checks notes, asking for a handout, lol. Your family's money isn't his business, quite frankly. Your parents' money is not yours. This relationship is not salvageable. Time to end it. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. WTF is this guy's issue? You've been dating for only 3 months and he expects you to financially support him? He's acting just as entitled as the spoiled rich kids he complains about. You didn't deceive him at all. It's not like he outright asked how rich your family was and you lied to him or anything. He sounds like a whiny jerk. I've lived in poverty as well and never would have acted so unhinged over this, and I would have been embarrassed to have a partner start offering to pay for stuff like that. Opie's asked on how she met her boyfriend. So we actually met through mutual friends and we do not go to the same school. I met him through a friend from his school. We met around Christmas and we all started hanging out for 5 months and then started dating. He has visited my parents' business, but we don't talk about it often. Just never comes up a lot. Sometimes he'll ask how the business is going, and I reply it's going good, and that's that. We both bonded over video games. I do actually know him well. We share hobbies, dreams, goals, interests, but I never brought up my family money because it's not important, and it's not even my money. So while I am surprised by how he feels after finding out a bit more about my family, I disagree with you on that. I never knew him. And Opie comments on why she wants to work and not be entitled to her parents' money. I don't wish to sound rude, but it's true and I won't take that back. I do only work so I have something to do. It's productive. I don't necessarily need money right now. My parents have literally told me this hundreds of times. Don't work for the money, work for the experience. We'll take care of the money part. Yeah, I feel like everyone needs work or some sort of project to feel a sense of purpose. I mean, it's an inherently human thing to want. I feel like most people would be kidding themselves if they won the lottery tomorrow and said they were never going to work another day in their life. I mean, how boring would that be? I mean, yeah, sure, it'd be good fun for a while, but when you got no mountain to climb, how are you going to feel good about yourself? Anyway, sorry, weird tangent. Let's go to the update. So when I made the original post, it was a few days after our argument. I wasn't going to post an update, but lots of people wanted one, and stuff actually happened, so here we go. Yesterday, I called Mike and asked if we could meet up for coffee to discuss what to do next. He agreed. As we talked, I explained my family's finances are private, and it was not my business to tell other people. The money isn't even technically mine, it's my parents'. This is why I didn't tell him. Mike didn't take this very well. He asked me how I could just watch him struggle for months and not do anything, how I pretended to feel bad for him when I didn't even understand how bad his life was. I responded that I did feel bad and I have been supportive. I tried to get him a job at my parents' grocery store, but he didn't like it, so he refused. I would always give rides to him since gas was expensive. I offered gas money whenever he did drive me, but he always refused since he wanted to pay for me. Even just emotionally, I was trying to be as supportive as I could while he was stressed. I acknowledged that I don't understand how hard his life is because I've never lived it, but I've done my best to be supportive emotionally. Mike just dismissed all of that and said that wasn't the point. He said that for him, the money wasn't the issue, it was trust. He felt that I had kept something significant from him, and he's wondering what else I was hiding. He said that he wasn't asking for handouts, but knowing I had the means to help him but chose not to, made him feel unsupported. Mike explained he felt like there was a huge gap between us now, and he will never be equal to me. He told me there was no reason for me to hide such a big secret from him. At this point, I got angry. I corrected him, saying he was asking for handouts. I mentioned our previous conversation of how he said that I could have helped with his car and gas. I explained the money he so desperately wanted wasn't even mine, it's my family's. I told him that he wasn't entitled to the money my parents spent over 2 decades earning. I couldn't just bail him out of whatever problems he has with money. I went back to how I did support him, just not financially. I'm ashamed to admit that I did kinda lose my cool here, and almost started yelling. After that, I calmed down and explained that I would never shame him for his struggles. My family never has either. They love him. We don't care about how much money someone has. We talked for some more, but I eventually told him I wanted to break up. It wasn't because he was upset I hid my wealth, but it was for digging into my family members' lives. I told him that it was extremely invasive, and I couldn't forgive that, and I couldn't feel comfortable around someone who would do that. It was a breach of trust for me. Mike also told me he wanted to break up since he didn't feel comfortable in a relationship where the financial gap is so big, and that our lives were just too different. We ended the conversation and parted ways. The good thing is he goes to a different school, so I won't be seeing him around. Part of me feels sad since I do love him. It was my first relationship and I wanted it to work, but I also feel relieved because I wasn't sure if I could take whatever Mike would do if I stayed. I really didn't like him snooping in my family's lives. I'm wondering if I made a mistake ending the relationship now, and it really sucks. Was I too harsh? I'm not even sure. I don't think I'll be dating anytime soon. I'm not too eager now. And just to be clear, I don't hate Mike. I do think that he probably just never saw money like ours, or that he was just shocked in general. And I get that he's 16, and I'm sure he'll grow out of this mentality. I hope he does have a better life, but I can't continue with him. I don't like that he tried to dig into my family members' lives. Yeah, and the way he said that he's breaking up with her because, their lives were way too different seems like a bit of a cop-out. Like their lives weren't that different at all. It was only after he learnt about, the family's wealth that he changed his mentality. I reckon he only said that just to try and have the upper hand in the situation, like, no, you're not breaking up with me, I'm breaking up with you, kind of thing. Anyway, Opie makes an edit. I also wanted to clarify some things. A lot of people were asking about the car. Mike's car is old and used, and it was gifted to him by his uncle since he doesn't use it anymore. It's about 8 years old. Mike didn't buy the car. Mike doesn't know the true value of my parents' money. That's why he was digging around. It seems like people on Reddit thought that I was perceived middle class or poor. I never was. Mike and others knew I lived a life that was well off. I just never talked about money, that's all. Mike does not know about my parents' other assets. He started thinking we had more money than he thought because he found out about the vacation home. That's why he tried digging through my family's information. He still doesn't even know close to anything since my parents keep their assets secret. Even I don't know them. People don't start digging into you until you give them a reason to. Okay, so apparently 8 years is not old for a car. Sorry, I don't know how cars work, but it's been heavily used anyway. One comment says, "Not the a-hole. You don't need to share this info until you're comfortable. I didn't know a fraction of the wealth of my wife's parents until after we were married. Didn't really make a difference to me, other than some behaviours made more sense after I knew. Don't take this the wrong way, but I would lean on the side of caution and not share anything regarding your family's wealth or status until you're married or committed and comfortable. Money does odd things to people, even those who are normally good." Opie says, "After all this, I might just do that, or at least until engagement." Not the a-hole. I see red flags. You're right to keep your family's finances private. You know what's theirs is theirs. You're not putting yourself in his shoes at all. He's struggling and you do nothing because what if he turns out to be a gold digger? If you were never going to give him a chance, you shouldn't have led him on. If you have weird hang-ups about poor people, then I guess just date rich ones. Opie replies, "It's not that I was scared he would be a gold digger. I did get nervous he would react negatively, but at the same time, it's my family's wealth, not mine. We only dated 3 months, which is too soon to open up about all my financial secrets. And I did nothing? I did help out. I tried to get him a job. He said no. I drove him around. I've been there to emotionally support him." Yeah, bit of a brain-dead comment Opie had to reply to there, but nonetheless, a pretty good outcome. What are your thoughts about this one? Maybe you got a similar story you'd like to share. Let me know in the comments. Either way, let's move on to a different one. Okay, same subreddit. This one was written by user Dad in Dilemma, and it's titled, "Would I be the a-hole for telling my son to wear not his favourite jacket anymore because it, quote, looks gay? I'm a single dad to my son, Oliver, 10. He's with me most of the time and sees his mum every other weekend. He's an awesome kid, creative, full of energy, and he's got his own sense of style that's pretty unique. He loves bright colours, nail polish, and clothes that some people might think are more girly. If I'm honest, I think Oliver might be gay, and I'm totally cool with that. I've always made it clear that whoever he turns out to be, I'll support him 100%. Because of how he dresses and acts, Oliver's had a really tough time with other kids. He got bullied so badly at his old school that I ended up pulling him out and homeschooling him. The school wasn't helpful at all, and it was heartbreaking to see him go through that. He struggled to make friends, and it kills me to see him feel so alone. Now, he's starting back at school in September, and he's really excited about it. But recently, we were at a cousin's birthday party, and Oliver wore his favourite jacket, which is a bright pink sparkly one that he loves. Some of the other kids started picking on him, saying he looked gay. I stepped in, got the kids to apologise, but it ruined the day for Oliver. I'm worried about how things will go when he's back at school. I've been thinking about whether I should talk to Oliver about maybe toning it down a bit, especially when he's around new people. Not because I want him to change who he is, but because I hate seeing him get hurt and feel like an outcast. I don't want him to feel like he has to hide who he is, but I also don't want him to be picked on or excluded because of it. But then I feel like a complete a-hole for even thinking about this. I don't want him to think that I'm ashamed of him or that he has to conform to be accepted. I want him to feel free to be himself, but I'm also scared of him being hurt by others who don't get it. So, would I be the a-hole if I talked to Oliver about maybe being a bit more low-key with his style? Yeah, that's tricky. It's a sensitive subject and one that would probably vary from person to person quite a lot, I'd imagine. It would 100% be a request from good intentions, but I imagine that a lot of people are going to say not to do it, which I also can see. Let's go to the comments. Don't do it. Kids will still bully him, and all he'll remember is that you deterred him from expressing himself. Trust me, the same thing occurred in our house. I was trying to keep him from being bullied, but my child felt as though I didn't accept him, and that he needed to pretend he was something he wasn't. Lots of later life therapy. If he's gay, if he's straight, then let him be himself, and tell him as long as he likes his clothes, that's all that matters. Sincerely, the mum of an amazing queer kid. Opie replies, I get that, but at the same time it's so heartbreaking seeing the same thing happen to him over and over and over again. Jesus, where do you live? Most kids don't care about this kind of thing these days. Opie says, I live in the West Midlands of England. I honestly don't think your point about most kids not caring is at all accurate. I see it every day. Do not dull his shine because other people don't understand him. I understand it may be coming from a place of protection, but it needs to be addressed with the potential aggressors, not with forcing your son to change who he is. Opie replies, but when you can't do anything more with potential aggressors? I have done and will continue to do everything I can, but sadly I can't literally watch his back 24/7, even though I would if I could. Anytime he has a comment made to him, he breaks his little heart, and it's so devastating seeing him go through that again and again. Now for an update, almost a month later. Hey all, it's been about 26 days since my original post, and I thought I'd give an update now that Oliver has had his first week back at school. I can happily say that so far, things are going much better than I'd hoped. Over the summer, Oliver and I had a really important heart-to-heart. I sat him down and told him just how incredibly proud I am of the person he's becoming. I made sure he knew that there is absolutely nothing he could ever do that would change the way I see him or make me love him any less. Honestly, it was a bit emotional, and I even got a bit choked up. I told him that if wearing his favourite jacket, the one that's caused some hurt before, made him happy, I'd stand behind him 100%. But I also wanted to make sure he was prepared. I explained that while I'll always be there for him, I can't always be around to protect him, and he might have to stand up for himself if kids make fun of him. I made it clear that this doesn't mean he should change anything about who he is, but that he needs to be ready to handle it if anyone says anything cruel. Oliver understood, and we spent the summer coming up with some playful comebacks together. He really wanted to take the jacket with him to school, so we made it a bit of a project, imagining the kind of things kids might say and crafting witty replies that he could fire back with. It was actually pretty fun, and I think it helped him feel more confident about it. Now back to school. His new teacher knows all about his past struggles with bullying, and she's been amazing. She's keeping a close eye on things and making sure he feels safe and comfortable. It's made such a difference already, and Oliver's first week couldn't have gone better. He's even made a friend, a boy named Sam, and they've really hit it off. They're planning to meet up tomorrow at the Wacky Warehouse, and Oliver can't stop talking about it. It's been a long time since I've seen him this excited about spending time with someone his age. I know it's still early days, but seeing him come home happy and smiling each day has been such a relief. Thanks to everyone who gave advice and encouragement on my original post. I really took a lot of it to heart, and I think it made a big difference in how I approached all this. And straight to another update post, 2 days later. Hey, I just wanted to hop on and give a small update about Oliver's playdate over the weekend. Firstly, when Oliver was getting ready, he wanted to wear all his flamboyant clothes. He asked me if I thought it was a good idea. His friend had seen him in his jacket, but he was a little worried how he would react to the full Oliver. I told him to wear whatever he wanted, and if this friend was worth being friends with, they would accept him for exactly how he is. This made Oliver smile. He wore his full Oliver outfit. When we were walking in, I could feel Oliver getting a bit nervous. He was bullied so much in his last school for how he was, so I understood why. I held his hand tight and gave it 2 squeezes. This means I love you, something I learned to teach him from Reddit actually. The friend's dad was with him and he looked at Oliver and gave a little curious look, but apart from that it was fine. The boy said he loved Oliver's clothes. They spent about 4 hours playing and we ended up eating together. On the way home, I told Oliver how proud I am of the little man he is. I'm so proud how he is so willing to be himself, and so brave to continue despite any backlash he gets. I love him so much. This is my final update on this account. I don't know if I'll ever show you these posts, Oliver, maybe in a few years when you're older, so we can laugh at how worried I was about you. Your dad is so proud of you. I think you are the most amazing person in the whole world, even when you drive me absolutely nuts. I'm so lucky to get to be your father. I'm so lucky you're in my life. I love you. Okay folks, and that's the end of that story. What a great ending. Very heartfelt. I love the term full Oliver. Always go full Oliver, I say. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that one. Let me know in the comments. Okay, moving on once more. Okay, this next one was written by user Wise Spender, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for ruining my friend's vacation? I, female 38, just got back from a vacation with 2 of my longtime friends, Kate, 40, and Mary, 38. I've known them both since university, and we've always been close. The 3 of us had been planning this Bali trip for a few months, along with our husbands and their kids. They both have children under 5, while my husband, Jake, 45, and I are child-free. We agreed to split the cost of a 4-bedroom villa 3 ways, and everything seemed fine at first. Jake and I arrived in Bali earlier than the rest of the group because we had different flights. Once we got to the villa, we waited to choose rooms with our friends and didn't mind when they both chose the ones with en-suites. We had a great time during the trip. Jake and I did some couples activities, massages, hiking, dinners, but we also spent time with Kate and Mary and their families whenever it worked for everyone. To be nice, I even surprised them with massages to give them a break. The only thing that made me uncomfortable was that whenever I ordered a drink, like a cocktail before dinner or a glass of wine with meals, I'd get comments like, "Oh, you're drinking again?" For context, I'm a social drinker and don't drink often, but we were on vacation and I didn't think it was a big deal, especially since our husbands were drinking too. I just ignored the comments so I could enjoy the trip. On the last night, Jake and I made plans with the guys to go out, and Kate and Mary said they were staying in to pack. Jake convinced me to join him, and since it was the last night of our vacation, I didn't want to stay in either. We went out and had a great time. We got home at 1 a.m, and I passed out straight after. The next morning was a bit chaotic, with everyone packing and checking out, but we all made it back home without issue. We had booked business class seats back, so we were separated during the flight, and said quick goodbyes at the airport. A week after returning home, I got a long text from Kate saying that both she and Mary wanted to reduce contact with me because I had, quote, ruined their vacation. They mentioned several things, like me drinking every night, that I wasn't acting like a girl's girl, that I booked different flights, didn't hang out with them enough, and that I was selfish for not helping with their kids. She even said I was just focused on partying and not acting my age. This message really hurt me. I cried after reading it, and I honestly don't know what to think. I thought I was just enjoying my vacation, but clearly they had a very different view. I haven't responded yet, and my husband has been asking what's bothering me, but I don't know what to say. Am I the a-hole for how I acted during the trip? What on earth are these friends talking about? It sounds like they're just salty that they didn't enjoy the holiday as much as you. Let's see what the comments think. Not the a-hole. They are 100% jealous. There's a stage in life where child-free people do better hanging out with other child-free people. People with kids can't see past their family lives and don't understand why you might want to live your life. I've been that soldier. Whatever about meeting for coffee and lunch and dinner, travelling with them is an absolute no. Opie says, I think you're right. I shouldn't have gone on the trip, and personally, I don't remember them being so judgmental. Thank you. Someone says, tell your husband. Opie replies, I was going to, but was worried that he might want to talk to their husbands. I'm very non-confrontational and was just thinking about apologising. Thank you, I will tell him. Commenter says, get a grip on yourself. Apologise for what? Opie says, lol, given the responses, I don't think I'll be apologising. I've realised that actually they owe me an apology. One downvoted commenter says, it does seem a bit weird to me that these are your friends of 15-ish years, and yet you chose to spend time with them only when it was a group activity. It would make more sense to me that you would want to spend time with them, go out the three of you and leave the men behind, or you stay behind when the men went out. You surprised them with massages. Did you arrange it for the three of you, or did you send them off with their husbands? Did you babysit? You booked separate flights. Opie replies, we did group activities or I went out with my husband. The massages were for the three of us. No, I did not babysit. As you said, these are my girlfriends for about 15 plus years. I should have offered to babysit without having to be asked. Thanks for a different point of view. Another comment says, info, are they breastfeeding and can't drink? Did they expect you to only hang out with them the whole time? Opie says, no, they aren't breastfeeding. They just aren't drinkers. To be fair, I'm not a huge drinker myself. I think they were looking for us to have more time together. Info, what were their husbands doing to help with the kids? You said the husbands were drinking and you would have a drink too. Were the husbands doing 50% of the childcare? Opie says, no, my friends were doing the childcare primarily from what I observed. Opie comments more on how much she drank. I passed out in my bed after a night out in heels. We were out at the bar till 1 a.m. and I was exhausted. I only drink as much as I can handle. 4 to 5 cocktails is my max. As a woman in her late 30s, I have bad hangovers, so I drink within reason. My husband, on the other hand, drinks a lot more than I can handle. Opie edits 4 hours later. Thank you, Reddit, for all your kind words and support. Reading through the responses and seeing how many of you are upset on my behalf has made me reflect on how I initially planned to handle things. I was going to apologise, thinking it might be the easiest way to keep the peace, but now I realise that might not be the right approach after all. I've also showed my husband Jake this post in the text message, and he told me to thank you for looking out for me. He's actually pretty angry on my behalf about the text message. I showed him some of the comments that gave me insight on how my friends may have been feeling, which has given us both a lot to think about. He asked me what I wanted to do next and if I wanted him to respond to my friends for me. While I appreciated the offer, I told him I'm still thinking it over. He reassured me that he's here for me no matter what, and if I decide I want him to step in, he'd be ready to say something on my behalf. For now, I'm going to sleep on it and take some time before I respond or don't respond to the text message. If I do, I'll post an update. Again, thank you all for helping me see things a bit more clearly. I feel less alone in this now. And I'm assuming she replied because there's an update 2 days later. Piggybacking off top comment because there's an issue with posting an update, here's what happened. I spoke with Mary on text. She said she agreed on most parts and they both have had a problem with me for ages because I invited them to or only organised adult-only events and nothing family-friendly, which isn't true. I was the one who organised her baby shower. I added both of my ex-friends to a group chat to discuss my feelings. Throughout the interaction, no apology for their passive-aggressive comments or even acknowledgement that I tried to be accommodating. I gave them better rooms, organised massages, kept our shared space organised, made all the dinner reservations, helped prep snacks, got gifts for them and the kids. Mary just said that she's sorry it's come to this, and Kate just ignored me. I was so disappointed in these women who I thought were my friends. I blocked them and unfollowed them on social media. I'm going to share this Reddit post with their mutual friends who want the tea. Told Jake about it, he just said good riddance. I'm going to Japan next March and Fiji in December for a wedding. I'll be posting on social media with the caption, "Finally, a real vacation." Thank you to the person who suggested it. One comment says, out of curiosity, what did your mutual friends think about it? P.S. You're not the a-hole. Opie says, I spoke to a few others and they kinda mentioned that they knew, and they also got some comments on other stuff in the past, so they were including these two for my sake. I think I'll be fine on the friendship front. Yeah, good riddance I say as well. How entitled they must be. Jeez. Anyway, that's the end of that story. Give me your thoughts down below. And that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.